Hello friends, Namaskar. In this video session, we are going to understand our poem, A Photograph. The first poem of class 11th textbook Hornbill, written by Shirley Toshan. In this session, the priority of our understanding will be first an ideal reading of the poem, then an introduction to the poetess, and then central idea of the poem, then stanza-wise understanding of the poem, and then lastly new words and important question and answers from examination points of views. So let us have first of all an ideal reading of the poem. So, as we go, the cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins were paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands, and see the big girl, some 12 years or so. All three stood still to smile through their hair. At the uncle with the camera, a sweet face, my mother's, that was before I was born. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient fate. Some 30 years later, she would laugh at the snapshot. See Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. Both are I with the honored each of loss. Now she has been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived, and of this circumstance there is nothing to say at all. Its silence silences. Shirley Toshan. Thank you friends. This was an ideal reading of the poem. I recommend to the students that they should also go through this poem at least twice, and then some ideas, central ideas behind this poem will automatically be flowing into their minds. Now we'll go for an introduction to our poetess Shirley Toshan. So let us do it step by step.
Kathleen Shirley Toshan was born on 20th May 1924. She was an English writer, poet, journalist and local politician. Toshan attended Prior's Field School and worked with the Auxiliary Territorial Service during World War II. She married Norman Toshan, an army lieutenant, in 1944. They divorced in 1951, and the poetess died on 23rd September 2018. Now, so far the central idea of this poem is concerned. It's a very short and beautiful poem. It's a tribute to her mother, the poetess' mother. The poem describes three stages in the passage of time. In the first stage, the paragraph shows the poet's mother standing at the beach enjoying her holiday with her two girls' cousins. She was around 12 years old at the time. The second stage takes us 20 or 30 years later. The mother would laugh at the way she and her cousins were dressed up for the beach holiday. In the third stage, the poet remembers the dead mother with a heavy heart. The photographs revives a nostalgic feeling in the poet. Now let us see the stanza-wise, line by line, understanding of the poem. The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins were paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands, and she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. Here we see an old photograph of the poetess mother, which was pasted on cardboard next to the poetess recall the old memories of her mother's childhood. The photograph is a depiction of her mother's enjoyable moments at sea beach with her two cousins who were younger to her. They were walking in shallow water with bare feet near the beach. The mother was standing in the middle and holding hands of her two cousins, who were standing on each side. The poet's mother was 12 years older then. It shows that the photograph was very old, but the poetess has kept it very carefully as it reminded her of sweet memories of her mother's childhood. The photograph was the one which indicated how enjoyable her mother's childhood was. Now moving further, all three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera, a sweet face my mother's, that was before I was born, and the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. The photograph shows that all three girls, the poetess mother, her two cousins, stood still and smiled at the camera which their uncle clicked their photograph at the sea beach. As the weather was windy at that time, their hair was flying over their smiling faces. The expression on the faces of the poetess mother and cousins was that of happiness and enjoyment. Mother was looking very pretty at that time, and the photograph was taken a long time ago. Everything has changed since then. Her mother grew up. Now she was dead, and the poet was reviving her memories. The only thing that has remained unchanged is the sea, which was washing the feet of all three girls. The mention of the word transient indicates the ever-changing lives of human beings, as well as the shortness of their stay on this planet, in contrast to the eternality of nature. Eternality means, you can say, living forever. The girl's life changed drastically during this period, but the sea has not changed. The stanza beautifully explains the transient nature of human beings. Still further, some 20-30 years later, she would laugh at the snapshot. See Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter, both wry with the levered edge of loss. Even 20-30 years later, the mother would look at the photograph and laugh nostalgically, remembering the happy memories of her past. Mother would look at the photograph and comment on the dresses worn by the cousins Dolly, Betty, and herself. Sea holiday was her mother's pastime, and her mother's laughter has become a thing of the past for the poetess, as her mother was now dead. The poet still remembers how her mother would laugh at the photograph, remembering the sea holiday with a fondness as well as a sense of loss, because that time would never come back. In the same way, poet feels nostalgic thinking about her mother and her laughter, which has become a thing of the past. The words levered and edge are opposite to each other but describe the same entity, loss. And the last four lines, now she has been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived, and of this circumstance there is nothing to say at all. It's silences. The poet recalls that it's nearly 12 years since her mother died. The poet is consumed with grief but is left with no words to express her loss and pain. The poet is totally absorbed in memories of her dead mother. The painful silence of this situation leaves the poet speechless. The poet can feel the grief but is unable to express it through words. The silence caused by death makes the atmosphere gloomy, where no one is able to utter words. Hence, students, this was an explanation of the poem line by line. Now, so far the new words in this poem are concerned. Just you see, cardboard is very stiff paper board on which the photograph is pasted. What is paddling? Walking through shallow water in the bare feet. For more new words, you may just see with your pencil, just you underline. Terribly means extremely. Transient means temporary, lasting only for a short time. Wry means disgusted. W-R-I means disgusted. Snapshot, photograph. Silences means makes someone unable to speak. Circumstance is situation. Now, coming towards the important questions and answers given in your textbook. See, the first question, what did the word cardboard denote in the poem? Why has this word been used? You can answer it very simple question. The words cardboard in the poem refers to the photograph of the poet's mother enjoying a sea holiday with her two cousins when she was 12 years old. 12 years old. What has the camera captured? What has not changed over the years? Does this suggest something to you? Mark this as an important question for your examination point of view. Time has moved on, but what has not changed over the years is the sea. It is immortal. It appears to be the same today as it looked in the old photograph. It suggests the eternity of the sea. It also brings out the transient nature of human being when compared to nature. The pretty faces and feet of the three girls are terribly transient or mortal, whereas the sea has not at all changed. It is immortal. Next question, the poet's mother laughed at the snapshot. What did this laugh indicate? You can do it. Now the most important question from this chapter, from this poem is, what is the meaning of the line, both arrive with the levered edge of loss? Mark it, the most important question. The context of the above lines is the mother's recollection of her childhood days and poet's recollection of her mother's laughing face. The mother had fond memories of her past, but there was a sense of loss of the carefree childhood days. The poet's loss referred to here is the loss of her mother through death and her smile. The memories in each case were beautiful but painful to recall as time slipped away so easily. And the next question and the last question, what does this circumstance refer to? This is very easy question. You can answer yourself. You can answer given textual questions with a special attention on the most important questions you have just marked. So the theme of the poem is transience of human life, death and mysteries surround it. I hope you must have understood this poem beautifully, and if so, let me know through your comments. Thank you, students. Thank you so much. Do subscribe it and share it to your friends for their benefits.